But Lepore, there was another big thing that happened in the Saturday night game. It was the debut of the Oilers and Leafs retro reverse jerseys.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
So this season, the NHL had every single team make a reverse retro jersey where they had to get a design from the past and modernize it. And there was some really good jerseys, some really bad jerseys. It created a big stir on social media. And Lepore, you've said this in the past. I know you are a big time jersey snob. Yeah. You have a million jerseys. You're the jersey guy. I'm not a jersey guy. So I'm going to throw it over to you on this. I need your thoughts on the Toronto Maple Leafs reverse retro jersey.
It's not a million jerseys, by the way, Bruno. It's just I'm at a couple 100,000. So in terms of the Leafs jerseys, I think what was disappointing to me, and I'm sure disappointing to a lot of Leafs fans, is that they're okay. Like they kind of played it safe with, like, they went navy blue with the gray, the old logo. Again, I don't think anyone points to that jersey and is like, oh my God, wow, that's terrible. It's just kind of fine. It's fine. And you want something more than that, especially with that type of theme. Like, okay, it's reverse retro. They can do something fun and funky. And I find quite often, and maybe you tell me, I find quite often with a lot of that stuff is that the Leafs, they kind of hold to their original 6 guns and do something just like, it's nice and it's clean and it's sharp, but they don't go out there. And again, we live in a different world now. And like you mentioned how, like, on social media, like, fans were going nuts for certain jerseys. Well, what are the ones everyone loved? Like the Ducks one sold out everywhere. That, like, Mighty Wing or whatever it's called one sold out everywhere because it's different and fun, brings people back to the 90s. People loved it. People loved the LA Kings one. Like the purple with the yellow brings people back. I myself, like, one of my favorite jerseys of all time is the Minnesota North Stars. So I loved how the Minnesota Wild went to those colors. I just thought Toronto could have done more with that jersey. Like, I look back to when they wore, like, the forest green. I'm like, maybe they could have done that, but then maybe they didn't want to, come too close to what they currently wear for the St. Pats. Or I love what they had in the Sittler era with, like, the stripes down the arms and, like, the sharp white, which again, they kind of went that way, but went half-assed because it was gray. And I know a lot of fans were hoping for that, but again, like, I'm not going to go crazy. It's just a jersey. I don't think it's terrible. I laugh when people say, "Oh, this is an embarrassment or an insult to the Toronto Maple Leafs and whatever." Like, give me a break.
Yeah, like, simmer down.
Yeah, like, they're trying to sell a different jersey guys. Like, everyone relax. And people always do forget that they're trying to get kids excited too. Like, I'm just generally talking about sports now when these new jerseys come out and people flip out. Like, so yeah, I mean, I wish I could have seen more. Edmonton too, man. Like, if you look back, like, I've always loved Edmonton's last WHA jersey. It was a navy blue and there was orange in the logo. And I would have loved to see them doing something like that rather than them do just kind of like that white with the orange. And I'm sure they did it in a way that, like, certain teams can wear them against each other like they did last night. So we need a certain amount of darks and a certain amount of whites. But I thought, like, that would have been cool if the Oilers did something like that. And at the same time, give, like, a shout out to the WHA, right? So, but yeah, I mean, not that big of a deal. To me, it's always fun to talk about jerseys, point to, like, what we'd like to see, what we don't like. But I'm looking forward to the next one because, like, there were a lot of calls on Twitter and among the Leafs jersey snobs about the ones from the 80s. Like the Rick Vive one, the Sittler one, the Salming one, those ones, like those. Everyone's got that hockey card with Alan Bester in, like, the sharp white with the blue down the arms. So I don't know, man. I assume it's someone's job at Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment to follow what the Twitter trends and to try to find out what people would like to see. So if someone was paying attention, that'll be the next one. And I'll be the one sleeping over to try to get it first.
Oh, we know you're going to be first on that list.
Yeah, man.
But here's what I will say about the jersey. So I'm watching the game.
Oh, I think I know where you're going to go, but go ahead.
My girlfriend's sitting beside me. Okay. She's not a hockey fan. She's not a sports fan. She's just sort of on her phone. She looks up for the first time in like the third period, Saturday night, Leafs Oilers. And she goes, "That's an ugly jersey." Looking at the Leafs jersey, did not make a comment the entire game about anything that was happening. Connor McDavid scores one of the goals of the season. My girlfriend doesn't give a shit, but she looks up and looks at the Leafs jerseys and she thought they were ugly.
Really? Okay.
And that's coming from someone who, you know, isn't a hockey fan, doesn't really watch hockey unless I'm watching it. But
that's a bad sign.
But here's what I'll say, Lepore. I'm kind of with you where it's like they're just okay. Like they could have done more, and I think the Oilers could have done more as well. And I think maybe the big thing is the gray and blue with that reverse retro jersey. I mean, a lot of people would have liked to see white and blue, but like I get it, right? Because you have to try and make it different. And, you know, every Leaf jersey, you know, besides like the St. Pat's jerseys are all white and blue. So I could see why they were trying to be a little bit different, you know, adding in the gray. But for the most part, yeah, I'm not nearly the jersey guy that you are, but so I wasn't offended at all. Like some Leaf fans are like, this is an abomination, the worst jerseys ever. We should be ashamed of ourselves. Like I do not take things that far when it comes to the jerseys, but I'm with you in terms of they could have been better. It just seemed like the Leafs I don't want to say they were lazy with it, but they could have put a little bit more thought and energy into it, I guess.
Yeah. One thing I'll say about the jerseys themselves, and I'll quickly mention one thing they maybe could have done. I found like on the ice, you couldn't see the numbers very well. Did you notice that?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that was a fail. Like again, they're different. They wear them. I think they're only going to wear them twice this year. But I wonder if that's a thing. And I'm sure they test this stuff. But it's like at least at the start, I was like kind of like, for example, when Muzzin fell at the end of the game for that breakaway, I thought it was Hall. Yeah. Because again, like you couldn't really see the numbers. And it's just, back to one thing quickly of what I hope they do. If you look back, there used to be a baseball team called the Toronto Maple Leafs. And they may still exist in some minor league or something, but their logo is this old maple leaf with a basic T in it. And it is an amazing logo. And I think even the Leafs in the 60s wore it on some swag and some practice stuff. So I think it's kind of like a not too well-known piece of Maple Leafs history that I'd love to see them bring back. It's awesome. Like that vintage look that's still like cool and different. So anyways, enough about my jersey obsession. Let's move on to something else. That's another podcast. Lepore's jersey observation
podcast with you on the Leafs next jersey that comes out at some point. So we'll get to that when that happens.